where money actually comes from and how to manifest it faster. When most people discover law of attraction or manifestation, they are attracted to the methods because they are trying to attract more money. So they meditate, they journal, they attempt to try scripting, and yet no money comes. Why? 2 reasons. Number 1, they are still wanting it. They are saying to the universe, I don't have it and I will not be happy until I do. Now, law of attraction only knows how to attract like with like, so you are emitting the energy of unhappiness, disbelief, maybe anxiety, frustration. And since the vibration of money is abundance, maybe vitality, maybe happiness, it can't understand you. It can't recognize you. It will not be able to be energetically aligned with you and therefore attracted to you because you are currently unhappy. You are unhappy not because you don't have money, but because you believe your life will be better when you have money. And this actually creates suffering now. This sucks for 2 reasons. So obviously number 1 being that you are unhappy now. And number 2, unless you are happy, money cannot actually be attracted to you because you are blocking it with your unhappiness. So gotta feel rich first, gotta feel happy first in order to attract money. Second reason, we falsely believe that money is somewhere out there and there's an external source that we have to get it from. So we try to tick all the boxes, be what society and our boss wants us to do so that we can get more of it. This is an illusion. Illusions are things that appear to be real but are in fact not. Money actually comes from us. We are the source of our own money. When we create value, when we help solve problems, when we serve anyone, anybody, that is how we create value. And that is when money is exchanged. This is how you become the source of your own money. Money is not out there waiting until you do enough things in order to get it. Money is waiting for you to give something to the world so that it can be exchanged for that value. Therefore, you are the source of your own money. This is why I'm always really confused by people who are hesitant to invest in themselves, whether it comes to self-improvement or physical improvement, mental performance, because these are all things that are going to raise your value, your ability to create value in the world and therefore attract money. So you don't have to figure out how to get more money. You need to figure out how to become more valuable. And what's more valuable in this world than happiness? So know that you can create value right now just by being happy. I just made the most incredible link between manifestation and capitalism, and I think it's why you haven't been able to manifest properly. Okay, so capitalism is out here teaching us that if we work hard, get money, buy stuff, that we'll be happy, right? To illustrate my elementary art. So we got do work here, have stuff there, and then be happy. This is the formula that they never want us to question because it keeps us stuck in a cycle of either creating or consuming. Meaning that you are either spending your time creating goods and services for other people to consume, or you are spending your money to consume other people's goods and services. So then we've been deeply conditioned in a capitalist society that teaches us that we need to work very hard to get the things that we want. So no wonder it is so damn hard to teach people to stop wanting things. Because remember, from a law of attraction perspective, wanting is lacking. If you are still wanting it, you are not an energetic match to it. You must give up wanting or needing the thing to make you happy and embody the feeling of having it already. But this conflicts with capitalist ideals. I'm like actually mind blown. Look at the next formula. Okay, so this is the formula of manifestation. You have to be happy, take aligned action to get the manifestation. Do you all see what is happening here? Capitalism has completely inverted this formula. B is at the end, but for manifestation, B is at the beginning. Capitalism literally inverted this formula because it would be death to itself to have people stop wanting things. I mean, just imagine a world where everyone is legitimately happy with what they have and so appreciative for everything that's in their life already. Who would stay late at the office or trade leisure for overtime? You are having such a hard time manifesting because you actually believe that you need to work hard in order to be happy. And it's not your fault. That's what capitalism taught you. Maybe your parents lived their life this way, your teachers demonstrated this to you, but this is not the way of manifestation. You have this formula all wrong. You got it backwards. So what I'm realizing is by making this link is that I only started to really develop my manifestation skills once I began to decouple myself from all of my capitalist conditioning. I think I'm realizing by making this video that this is exactly what they don't want us to find out. If people really knew that they had the power to be happy in the present moment and attract everything that they ever wanted, then why would we kill ourselves at work? We'd actually probably all believe in ourselves and only do things that we're passionate about. And passions don't exactly fund conglomerates. So what you have to realize is that your potential to be happy does not happen at the end of the formula. It starts right now, in this moment. You guys are not even ready for this life hack, and yes, I'm recording in my PJs. It is very simple. It is very easy. The next time you are about to make a decision or make a change in your life that you are struggling with, I want you to ask yourself, what is the best that could happen? Most of you are thinking about what is the worst that could happen every single time. And I want you to know that the best that could happen and the worst that could happen are both equally possible. The future contains infinite possibilities, so both exist. Now, which one actually manifests as your present moment reality, which is the only place where you experience life, will be what you think about. So, focusing on worst case scenario, most likely to happen. Focus on best case scenario, also likely to happen. A lot of us will try to justify worst case scenarios so that we can prepare for them. But if you're on my page, you probably follow the law of attraction, and you know that only like attracts like. So if I'm constantly worried about the worst case scenario, I am most likely going to attract a future scenario that is constantly making me feel worried. I meant to keep this short, so basically I want you to walk away from this video remembering that best case scenario and worst case scenario are both equally possible possibilities. And that you can actually choose to focus on what the best could happen is. Try this for a month and see how your life completely shifts. This is what happens when you always tell yourself that you should do something. So when we tell ourselves that we should do something or stop doing something, we are creating the emotion of guilt. Guilt is characterized by both self-condemnation and the perpetual fear that we are going to be punished. However, most of us are adults, we are no longer children, and there is no authority figure who is going to punish us anymore, such as putting us in a timeout or, withdrawing that love and attention. But this is where guilt started, right? In our childhood. So we would do something bad and we would be punished and we would be made to feel guilty. We then associated guilt with the loss of connection and love and attention. So then we became certain things or we developed certain traits to ensure that we would never ever have to be guilty again. But we actually never stopped feeling guilty. We actually still feel guilty to this day, but we just now engage in self-punishment. So now we feel guilty and we end up feeling these feelings of self-hatred, constant comparison, anxiety, hopelessness, eventually depression. We unconsciously developed all of this to avoid feeling this as a result of being bad or being seen as bad to other people. It then developed into this little voice in our heads that always tells us that we should do this or should do that or should stop that. But when we say the word should, we immediately create this construct that there's one right thing to do and one wrong thing to do, and we're automatically doing the wrong thing. Otherwise, there wouldn't be something that we should do. So every time we say the word should, we immediately make ourselves wrong, and then we feel that guilt and we internalize it. And then we feel so bad, so then we anxiously do things in order to get away from this feeling of guilt. So now I have to obsessively exercise, or I have to eat healthy, or I have to, make sure that person doesn't say a bad thing about me. I'm constantly going to be subject to emotional volatility because I am depending on other people's opinions of me and even my own opinion of me in order to feel okay. So every time you tell yourself, I should work out, or I should eat healthy, or I should make more money, I want you to start switching that word with could, because this is going to immediately reduce the intense judgment that you are experiencing. When we say, I should work out, remember, this immediately makes us bad and us wrong, and then we're going to feel terrible. And then actually working out isn't going to feel very good at all. This is how most people work out, and also it's why most people give up. Instead, we're going to say, I could work out, and then we're going to ask ourselves, do I actually want to work out? If so, why? This allows us to actually consciously choose whether or not we want to engage in this activity instead of being constantly enslaved by the activity. Most of us are just unconsciously working out, eating healthy, being productive, doing all these things in order to make ourselves feel a little. What we're essentially doing is taking all of these actions out of fear. Fear of what? Fear of judgment, guilt. Which is really freaking interesting because we're already feeling that way. We already feel guilty. We already feel. So instead of engaging in these activities out of complete fear of judgment, fear that they're not going to think I'm attractive, fear that they're not going to think I'm smart, how can we start engaging in these activities out of love and curiosity? Like, maybe I should incorporate more vegetables because I haven't had any greens in a while and that would feel really nourishing. Or maybe I should work out because that would feel really good for my body and I would feel really strong. Maybe I should be productive because I actually want to serve my customers or serve my clients, not because you're waiting to get approval from these people. And so what's so powerful about making this shift in acting out of fear versus love is that now you're actually going to feel a lot more relaxed and be able to enjoy the activity that you're doing, because most of us are using the activity as a means to perfect ourselves or make ourselves feel better. But it never works, because even after you work out, even after you feel healthy, now you have to keep doing it in order to feel okay. This reminds me of my orthorexia days. So that's where you're basically obsessed with perfect eating, healthy eating. So now if I wasn't going to eat healthy and I wasn't going to eliminate the sugar and the dairy and the carbs and whatever, I'd be freaking out. So I wasn't free at all. I was completely enslaved to this idea that I have to like eat perfectly and work out, because I was trying to control people's perceptions of me. I was believing that I should work out and that I should eat healthy. Why? Working out and eating healthy are not inherently better things in life than not working out and not eating healthy. You don't believe that yet because you've grown up in a society that rewards and idolizes people that work out and eat healthy, and there's $1 billion industry that's backing it. But the final thing I'm going to say about all of this is, why are you doing it? Are you doing it for you, or are you doing it for others? Because if you're doing it for you, you don't feel panicked anytime you don't do it. There's no rush to do it. You just do it because you actually love and appreciate yourself and it's going to feel good. But if you're doing it for others, you're going to panic anytime you're not doing it, because you falsely believe that love is. Okay, so today I have an abundance lesson for you. So a lot of times once we start trying to manifest more money or health, wealth, relationships, we start to feel really guilty once we start manifesting this into our lives. There is a low-key sense of shame, and we don't want to really talk about it. We don't want to share it. We want to almost downplay it. And that is because we are still operating under the belief that abundance is limited, right? We are believing that only some people can have it and other people can't. So then if we have more of it, then other people must have less of it. But abundance is the most unlimited thing that there is. It's everything. It's source. And so I want to give you a different way of thinking about abundance. Okay, so when you wake up in the morning and you feel healthy, you feel no physical ailments, you are able to walk and live your life normally, we don't feel guilty for that. We know that our physical health has no influence on someone else's physical health, right? Like if I'm really healthy, then it's not my fault that someone in Japan has a cold. My personal health has no direct impact on someone else's ability to also feel healthy. There never has been, and there never will be, a limited number of people who can be healthy on the planet at one given time, right? It's not like all of a sudden I get sick and now someone is healthy, or I'm healthy and now someone else get sick. There's no scales, right? There's no limitation on who can be healthy at one time. My health and your health is completely independent of what other people are doing outside of us. It is directly related to our actions and our thoughts and how we take care of ourselves. And so the same thing goes for abundance, whether that be wealth or in relationships or material objects, whatever it is that you consider abundance, you having it has nothing to do with someone else being able to also have it or create it. So then why do we feel so guilty anytime we have something good happen to us, or there's a windfall of cash, or finally you're in a relationship but your friends aren't? We want to downplay this, right? It is because you're still under the illusion that abundance is limited. But abundance is not available to just a few select people on earth. It's not only for the top 1%, top 5%. It is for everyone to experience. And so if you are experiencing some abundance in your life right now, own that. You attracted it. That's amazing. But it doesn't negatively impact someone else's ability to create the same thing. If anything, you get to be an amazing example and expander for them of what's possible. So today, I'm going to explain how every single thing in your world comes from you and within you with this very quick example. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, then just bear with me, but there is this spiritual idea that there is no world that exists outside of us, and the world only comes from within us or our own minds. We live in a holographic universe where there is no one universe. There is a reality that's being created from every single different mind in the world. So every single person in this reality is living in a different reality. Because why is it that after we read a profound book or watch an amazing movie, we say things like, it changed my life? It's because you changed. The knowledge that you gained from that book or the wisdom that you acquired from that movie is changing you. And when you change, your life changes. The world changes. Reality shifts. All of a sudden you see things differently and everything that you look at changes. So then the nugget of wisdom or the beautiful poem or the striking work of art means nothing until it affects you. You are the one that brings meaning to everything. So when we learn new things and we see things differently, then the things that we look at change. So then if we want to change our life, we have to change ourselves. And the first step to changing ourselves is changing our thoughts. Start by questioning your thoughts. Do you really believe everything that your brain is saying? Are you choosing any of the thoughts that you're thinking all day on purpose? Every single thing that you see out here in the world is going to be a reflection of what you are thinking and feeling in here. So if we want to be different, we have to think different. We have to feel different. There is nothing that we need to change outside of us in order to make us feel differently. We can do that right now with our minds and our feelings. Realizing this was equally the most enlightening and devastating day of my life because I realized that I could have the power to create my own reality, which is really exciting. But then I realized that I had been asleep to my power for so long. It was devastating to realize that I had this power within me the whole time. I didn't have to go and change X, Y, Z, become this, become that, get that. I didn't have to do any of that. I did all that, and I still felt like shit. So if you want to feel different, be something else, feel something else. It all starts up here. We have to change the way we think. So read that book, question that thought, watch that movie, right? As soon as it enters your body and you perceive it, then your world changes. So change your world by changing you. Okay, so today I want to get into shadow work because shadow work really helps us see what we're trying to run away from and can help clear blockages towards our manifestation. So to start, what is the shadow or the shadow self? The shadow self is the personality that we formed or the traits that we acquired after childhood to protect us from emotional pain that we experienced in the past. An example from my childhood was I had this incredible fear of being called annoying because of course that would have caused emotional pain. It would have meant that people didn't want to be friends with me. And so of course in my adulthood and even teenagehood, I wanted to develop this persona of the cool, independent girl, meaning that I no longer need anyone's approval or friendship in order to feel okay. However, that's not true. Every single person needs emotional support and friendship. So the shadow self is actually what ends up hindering you from experiencing true connection to yourself and others. Right, you're wondering, what does this have to do with manifestation? It's actually super important because we need to know if the manifestation is actually coming from the true self or the shadow self. Most people who are trying to manifest are actually trying to manifest from the shadow self perspective, meaning that they're trying to acquire things or status, possessions that are going to bolster their sense of self, but it's not a true self, it's the shadow self. So instead of trying to attract things from love and possibility and high frequency, we are attracting things out of fear, anxiety, not enoughness. But we already know that this frequency brings more of that. This is why so many of our manifestations backfire. We are focusing on getting what we want in an attempt to avoid pain. So if you're wanting to be wealthy, you're actually not wanting to be wealthy. You're wanting to be not poor. But your focus on not poor and the avoidance of it is going to continue to perpetuate that for you. So then the shadow work is dissolving what it means to be poor or to be annoying or to be whatever it is that you were afraid of being as a child because of the emotional pain you faced because of it. The universe is constantly responding to our choices, but we don't realize that we're often choosing the wrong thing. So you might have a shadow self that's actually really afraid of becoming rich. Why? Well, you might have watched your parents experience a lot of pain due to money and saying lots of mean things about rich people. So now your shadow self is going to try and protect you from ever experiencing that kind of pain. So no matter how many attempts you make to make or attract money, money's not going to come your way. Because we as humans are far more motivated by pain than we are pleasure. And so the reason why it's called the shadow is because you really can't see it. These are parts of ourselves that we assume to be literally our personality. We have no idea that it is unconsciously working against all of our desires and manifestations. So to get to know your shadow self a little bit better, what you can do is ask yourself, what do I believe I would lose if I received this manifestation? Okay, so today I want to get into money beliefs and how they perpetuate our reality. So I would say that most of your money beliefs, if not all, were not consciously chosen by you, meaning that you adopted them from society, your parents most likely, parents of friends, colleagues. They're not your beliefs. Based on your past experiences and the community that you surrounded yourself, you came up with an idea about what is capable for you in terms of generating money. What you think about your ability to make money is not real though. I know, I usually get a lot of resistance once I say that because people are like, no, I know that I can only make this much money per year. But a really great way for me to demonstrate how you are not living in reality is to gather a group of people and ask all of those people to write down on a sheet of paper how much money they think they can make that year. Every single person is going to think of a different number silently to themselves as soon as I ask that question. Now, one of the challenges to this exercise might be that if you are hanging out with the same people that you have always hung out with, you might all have very similar beliefs about money, which continue to strengthen your reality around how much money you can make. So anyways, you do this exercise, then everyone writes down a different number. So when I ask you how much money do you think you can make per year, you immediately think of a number. I don't have to tell you what it is, you immediately thought of one. That number is tied to a belief. What is a belief? A belief is a thought that you have thought over and over and over again, and you've gathered evidence for it. How much money you think you can make per year, let's say your number was 50,000, 60,000, you are going to now act in accordance with that belief. Meaning that if you want to do something that is going to potentially generate more money, you will self-sabotage. A really great example for this is thinking of a temperature gauge in a room. So if I set the room to 75 degrees, anytime it gets hotter than that, it's gonna turn on the aircon to bring it down. If it gets colder than that, then we're gonna turn on the heat so that it comes back up. This is what happens when you win the lottery and your temperature set point for money is not at $1 million. It just goes all out the window. You don't yet have beliefs that are in energetic resonance with that amount of money. So we have to stop focusing on how to get more money and how we can raise your vibration for money, your money threshold. Now, there's a very large percentage of the population that when I ask how much money do you think you can make this year, the number is going to be below 6 figures, right? And there's a very small percentage of people on earth, if I ask them how much money do you think you can make per year, they think $1 million or more. This is why there's a lot of people who don't make 6 figures and very few people who make millions. But the important thing to take away from this is if you want to generate more income, you don't need to think of more ways to get income. We have to figure out how to upgrade your identity so that it matches someone who makes that much income. Instead of asking, what do I have to do to make more money? Ask yourself, who do I have to become to attract that kind of money?
There are so many people who want to be in a relationship, and the reason why it's so important to work with someone and clean up your energy before you manifest this relationship is because if you get into a relationship before you have cleaned up your energy and you are still coming from a place of scarcity, insecurity, lack, you are then going to outsource all of your feelings of security onto this person. So now, if they don't text you back on time, if they start acting a little bit different, you are going to freak the F out, and then you're going to project onto this person that it is them that are making you feel so bad, so anxious. Then you're going to get mad. Then you're going to fight. And this is what leads to the on again, off again couple cycle. So you're going to be off because you've decided that person's making me anxious, he doesn't appreciate me, blah, 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 or she doesn't appreciate me. But remember, you had outsourced all of your feelings of safety and security onto this person, so you are inevitably going to call them back into your life to fix your feelings of insecurity and anxiety. So this is what leads to that on again, off again cycle. If you show up to a relationship and you are waiting for that person to approve of you, so you don't feel confident in yourself already, now this person is able to manipulate you into doing things or not doing things. So that is also a toxic relationship, and that is not the kind of relationship you want to attract. So sis, bestie, it is in your best interest to clean up your energy before you attract anything, because you might actually attract something and it will be very bad for you. It will actually not be the manifestation that you've been wanting, because you are going to be missing that feeling of security, happiness, whatever you've outsourced to this thing. And so then everything is going to be dependent on whether or not that thing is meeting your expectations. So whether they act like this or whether the job is like that, right? We are going to be so conditional with our feelings of happiness, safety, security, relaxation, that we miss the opportunity to actually learn how to create those feelings within our own body, within our own mind. Because once we do that, whatever we attract will be so much better. So much better. So I just want you to be open to the fact that you do not need that thing to come into your life right now. And also, you don't want it to, because if it came into your life right now before cleaning this all up, you will inevitably develop a toxic relationship with it.
Okay, you guys, I have raspy voice today, which is my favorite voice, and I have this story I have to tell. So last night I was watching Inventing Anna, which I'm not trying to promote, but is a show about essentially white collar crime. And in this show, this girl says, money is no object, money is no object. And I was watching the show and I was like, damn, I want to get to a place in life where I can really energetically embody money is no object. Fast forward to today, I come out of my office and my fucking car is towed. And I'm like, honestly, I was just calculating how much it was going to cost to get it from the towing company, pay the ticket that I got, the Uber to get there. I was late to an appointment, all this stuff. I was just reflecting on the past, calculating how much money it was, thinking it was a mistake, beating myself up. And then, because I do a lot of energy work, I was like, listen, this is not the energy that I want to take into my future. So how can I start to shift this? And so I started thinking about all the ways this is happening for me and all the ways in which I have secretly asked for this and it's coming to me in disguise. And I remembered last night, all of a sudden, I was like, wait, I fucking fucking asked for this. I asked the universe to have this money is no object energy. And so once I cleaned myself up, changed my thoughts around, I walked into the towing company. And they were like, is this your car? And I was like, yep. And then they told me the cost of it. And I swear to God, when I swiped my card, my energy was like, money is no object. Like, this $350, don't care. And I know that's a very privileged perspective, but what I'm trying to get you to understand from this story is that sometimes we ask the universe for things and then we get these like little tests and they seem like roadblocks. Like, we're not getting to where we want to go because it's not showing up to us in the package that we expected. But this experience was actually me demonstrating my level of expansion, my up leveling. It was me showing me and the universe that like, I'm ready to be at the money is no object phase. Like, watch me pay this $350 and not give a shit. I'm not going to give a single shit. And so now I'm feeling literally so grateful that that happened, because now I see it as a test or testament to how ready I am to embody this new energy, which is that money is no object. I got this.
These are the 9 key spiritual teachers who completely changed my life and made me who I am today. This man is Michael A. Singer, and reading his book, The Untethered Soul, changed my life. What I learned from Michael Singer was that as soon as you notice the ego, as soon as you notice its fight to try and justify things, understand things, solve things, just drop it. There is no amount of trying to resolve, understand, figure out the ego that will satisfy the ego. And so this is like his metaphor of a duck sitting on a pond. If the duck is trying to stop the waves from moving him and disturbing his peace, he's always going to feel agitated. He's always going to try and control things outside of him. It's only when the duck remembers that it can fly and rise above the level of its problems that it can actually feel peace. Y'all know this man. This is Eckhart Tolle, and reading his books, A New Earth and The Power of Now, completely shifted everything for me. And I have a funny story. So I actually live in the same city as Eckhart, and I don't freak out about celebrities. There's a lot of movies that are filmed here, but the one time I embarrassed the crap out of myself was when I thought I saw Eckhart Tolle on the sidewalk, and I ran and I tripped in front of someone who just ended up looking like Eckhart Tolle. But what he taught me is that salvation is only found in the present moment. So many of us are putting our salvation in a future event, a future version of ourselves to absolve us of the anxiety that we feel now. And so much of what we think of our life is actually just our life situation, which are thoughts about past and future. But your actual life is what is happening right now. Okay, I didn't even know what Neville Goddard looked like until I Googled this, and he's cute. But he is the first person who really taught me the energetics behind manifestation. And so what he taught me is to live in the end, as well as the feeling is the secret. So if there is a feeling that I'm hoping to obtain from my manifestation, I can generate that feeling now, here in the present. I don't have to wait. And then as soon as I'm embodying the energy of the desire in the present, I become a magnet for it. This is Byron Katie, still alive, still killing it, and she taught me to question every single thought. So every negative thought I have about myself, my life, other people, situations, I have to question, is that true? And how do I know that it's true? And then who would I be without this thought? Let's continue to honor the women. This is Louise Hay, who passed away in 2017. But what she taught me, or the lesson that resonated with me the most, was that forgiveness is what heals, especially forgiveness of the self. Quite possibly my favorite spiritual teacher, this is Alan Watts. So if you go on YouTube, you should just listen to his talks. There's talks of like 1, 2, 3 hours of him just spitting fire and knowledge, and it's amazing. But one of the key things that Alan Watts helped me realize was that we didn't come into this world. We came out of this world, meaning that all of my energy and my potential for being existed before I physically existed. And so is the same for your manifestations. The way he helped me understand this was thinking about a leaf or a flower blooming. So that leaf or that flower, it doesn't come into the earth's atmosphere, right? It is made of the stuff on earth and is born out of it. And when I realized that that was also me, it blew my mind. And that every single thing I could ever want to create and experience, all the energy for that to become physical is also here. And so just like an acorn has the potential of an oak tree within it, it needs the perfect conditions in order to manifest. And so our job as powerful creators is to create those environments for our manifestations to become physical. This is part 2 of my video, The 9 Spiritual Teachers Who Changed My Life.
Mr. Joseph Dispenza, or more commonly known as Joe Dispenza, he is the person that put so many scientific and medical terms on essentially what Neville Goddard was talking about. And he's really normalized this process of manifesting and embodying future realities in the present for so many people. And I have so much respect for him. But essentially what he taught me is that you can create the emotional signature of a future event in the present and essentially teach your body now to believe that future event is happening, and then, of course, becoming a magnet for it. He is responsible for freeing so many people from the belief that they have to wait until they get to the future in order to feel better. He says, similarly to Neville Goddard, feel better now, create the emotional signature of what it feels like to be that better person, whatever it is you're trying to experience, and then magnetize that event to you in the current reality. So my journey with this spiritual teacher has been quite a roller coaster, and I think it is for most people. So this is Esther Hicks, who is the channel for Abraham Hicks. So the teacher that I'm discussing is Abraham Hicks because she is the channel for that being. I know, stick with it. But my journey with them has been such a topsy-turvy road because initially when I started listening to them, I didn't understand anything that they were saying. And it really reminds me of the radio frequency. You have to be tuned to the frequency to be able to hear those sounds, those words, those meanings. And so now that I've been elevating my consciousness, everything they say is literally the most powerful, potent message I could ever hear. And so Abraham Hicks taught me that there's only two ways to feel, which is feeling good and not feeling good. If you are not feeling good, you are fixated on something that is bad that has happened in the past or something bad happening in the future. But that you can literally use your thinking mind, your ability to create thoughts just for the pleasure of it, the feelings that it will create in the present, shift your point of attraction and attract anything. This is Mr. Wayne Dyer, and what he taught me was that as soon as I change the way I look at things, the things I look at change.
What most people don't tell you about manifesting is that it's subtle. To manifest everything you've ever wanted, you'd have to become the type of person who would have those things, normalizing all of it in the process. Normalizing making money, being in love, traveling, being your own boss, everything you envisioned. We think receiving a manifestation will feel exponentially better than how we feel now. But if that's the case, we're still in lack. We haven't embodied abundance, and so even if we get the thing, we will now have to constantly chase the thing. Always needing another hit of money, another compliment, another like. I'll become an addict. But if I put down the addictions and choose to find peace without them, feel happy anyway, find complete peace in the moment I'm in, the person I'm being, then my manifestations chase me. And then you'll get these quiet moments, these sacred moments to yourself, where you just look around and realize you actually became the person you always wanted to be.